Hey guys, so a little update on a few things on the Honda engine. We went ahead and ordered new head bolts because we had two head bolts that wouldn't reach torque. So we at first I kind of suspected it was either head bolts or on these aluminum engines on the Hondas. I guess it's not uncommon for the insert, the steel threaded insert inside the aluminum block to actually get pulled out. So that would have been worst case scenario. But we went ahead and ordered new head bolts and another head gasket. O'Reilly had these. I could get them, I think, the following day. Everything else previously, I had bought through Rock Auto. So these were the original head bolts that we were using, the Engine Tech. So now I don't think these are torque to yield bolts. I mean, nothing that came with the instructions on those bolts, and when I ordered them, nothing on these said anything about being torque to yield. And I know on other engines that I've done that were torque to yield, they had a lot more like specific, like you torqued them, you went through, torqued them all, you came back, you loosened them one at a time, retorqued them, and then you did so many additional degrees of torque, rotation or whatever to tighten them. These didn't say any of that, so I don't think these are torque to yield. But like I said, we went through the sequence, torquing these originally with the Engine Tech bolts. Two of them, they did the first step, which I forget what it was now, like 18 foot-pounds, and then 53 in the second step. They torqued the first time, the first step, no problem. We went to do the second, we couldn't get two of them to torque. So, anyways, just ordered these and a new head gasket through O'Reilly because I could get them the following day, so I wouldn't have to wait for shipping from Rock Auto. I think they were totaled, both items together were like $100. We cleaned everything again, and I actually just left the old head gasket that had already been compressed prior. And I had a few people mention to me that since the engine hadn't gone through a heat cycle, the gasket would probably still be okay. But I've always been told, once you compress a gasket, you just want to reuse a new or use a new gasket, not reuse it. So, but just to see if what the issue really was, I went ahead and we used the old head gasket, that we had already just torqued, but with new head bolts, and went through, and all 10 torqued fine. And like I said, we did go 3 steps though on that one instead of going just the 2 the way the book recommended. We ended up splitting it and going like 15, 30, and then 53 or whatever it was for the last step. But anyways, all 10 torqued fine. So we said, okay, so we pulled them all off and loosen them in the sequence, and they tell you just loosen one third at a turn, one third turn at a time, so you don't warp the head or anything. Put the new head gasket then, and then torqued them, and everything torqued fine again. So the only thing I can assume then, it was these Engine Tech bolts, which did have this weird spiral pattern. I know that seemed odd to me when I even first ordered them, but I don't know what that would do. But these bolts did not have that. These look just like factory head bolts, just solid shank, whatever. So, anyways, and good news, I guess, I did find out, not the machine shop that we had used to do the machine work. When I called them and I told them I suspected, we were going to try the head bolts. We hadn't gotten them yet, so we didn't know if that was going to solve it or not. So I just said, well, worst case scenario, if those inserts are pulling out, what would it cost to repair them? And they just told me like, oh, we don't even do that. And they gave me a name and number of a couple other businesses. I called one of them, and they actually said, oh yeah, they said, no big deal, bring it in, if that would have been the situation. And they even said we wouldn't have to disassemble the engine or anything. They could, tape everything off, mask it all off, and they would have been able to repair. And I think they gave me a price of like $60 per insert or whatever. So, but luckily we didn't have to go that direction. So the head is on, new head gasket, head bolts are torqued. We've got the oil pump on. Next we're going to do the tensioner and stuff. We put a new cam seal already. So that was good news. Some other good news, I got a new car. My sister and my brother-in-law called me up, and they asked me if I wanted this 2013 Ford Fusion. So they bought it brand new, and it has 200,000 miles on it now. So It's by far the nicest car I've ever owned. You know, it's got leather interior. It's the little 1.6 turbo motor. Tires have been replaced. I'm sure, you know, 200,000 miles. It's probably had 4 or 5 sets on it. But everything pretty much works on it. Bad news, they had noticed when they were starting it, it was giving a puff of white smoke. That just kind of started relatively recently, and it every once in a while it'll give them overheating. The gauge will peg out and it'll say it's overheating, but it's not actually overheating. So because I guess it does it for like a minute or two, and then it immediately, like the first time it did it, of course they pulled over and they checked and everything, coolant was full, didn't seem like it was overheating, no percolating, no steam, no nothing, no leaks. So but they took it to the dealer and they said, oh, I think back then, the initial first time, they said it was a sensor and the reservoir. So reservoir was replaced, and crazy, you know, the dealer being the dealer, I think it was over $1,000. They said, and this has been to the dealer for almost everything. I don't know if they've even done oil changes themselves or, but I know it goes to the dealer for a lot of things. It's kind of had a couple recalls on it, but anyways, the overheating issue. Oh, so then I guess it's done this again where they've been driving it and it overheats or says it's overheating, but I guess I don't know if they verified it with a temp gun or what, but they've got out and they're like, well, there's no way it's not overheating. And then the weird thing is they can drive it for another couple minutes and it immediately goes back to like normal. So even the dealer had told them, I guess one time they had the opportunity to even have it was doing it. They were close by the dealership, drove over there, got the service manager to ride with them. And yeah, he even, you know, confirmed like, well, if it really was overheating, there's no way it would just cool back down that quick, you know, even if it was an air pocket or whatever. And so anyways, it's been to the dealer a whole bunch of times, which the last time they didn't put the little foam cover back on. And I noticed it doesn't have the splash guard that goes underneath. So, and my sister went back and asked the dealer about it, and they said, oh no, we didn't lose that stuff. You must have took it somewhere else, and it was never put back on because they checked with the tech, and he said, no, didn't have nothing left over after you guys picked it up, so it must have never had it, which, whatever. But yeah, so good news and bad news, because like I say, it has some issues, and I guess when it went to the dealer this last time, it was another sensor and an oil leak, which I don't know if it was valve cover or what. But after my sister and my brother-in-law picked it up and got it back home, they said, well, we parked it by the driveway and there's an oil leak. So when I got it, when they called me and asked me if I wanted it, and I said, sure, you know, I'll take it. Then I brought it home and I parked it over a board so I could see how much it leaked. And sure enough, there was, I don't know, first day, a little spot. We drove it a couple more days, and I was always checking and making sure the oil was full, and it never dropped. But anyways, the next day we drove it, and yeah, there was a bigger oil spot. So then I was like, I don't know, I have to see what that is. And being that it's such a low car, I barely got it to go on my ramps. I have some kind of low profile ramps, and so we were able to get it up on there just to find out it was a loose drain plug. That was the only thing I'm looking at. I was looking at the turbo, and I was looking at a bunch of other stuff way over here in the back, trying to see where the oil was coming from. And no, when I got underneath it, the only thing that was wet was the oil pan and the drain plug. Got I think it was a 13 millimeter, maybe a 14. It had like about a half turn to 3/4 of a turn to snug the oil drain plug up. Since then, it's never leaked a drop. So part of the reason why I don't like to go to dealerships, I mean, I do all my own stuff, and I think it gives you opportunity when you're doing your own oil changes to see other things that are loose or, you know, broken or things you never noticed. But overall, pretty good car. You know, I got to thank them for giving it to me, and you know, by far the nicest car I've ever owned. And for like, I think it's not quite 200,000 miles, like 194,000 miles or something on it now. It's in, to me, I mean, amazingly good condition. It's, you know, leather, it's all leather seats. Window tint's a little scratched. I'll probably get that redone. I got a window tint guy I use that's really good and pretty reasonable prices. But it runs fine, drives fine. As far as the smoking on startup, I've seen a couple of other videos. People were mentioning it could be sludge buildup, so I ordered some BG EPR, something like that. Anyways, don't normally order stuff off of Amazon, but they were one of the easiest places to find it. I went everywhere local, nobody had it, so it's just an engine flush, but we're gonna try that, and I think it's really close to being due for an oil change. So we're gonna try that, see what it does. I tried to get a video. It doesn't always smoke, so I've made a video a couple times trying to, you know, when we started up, and it wasn't the worst I've seen it. Some days I've seen it, you know, it's a big cloud initially, but once it clears out, it's gone. So and it doesn't smoke again. But if you leave it, I think about 10 minutes, you know, usually if you shut it off, start it right back up, you know, after just a couple of minutes, it won't smoke. But if you leave it about 15 minutes or so, then it'll smoke again. But anyways, so yeah, that was another part of the good news and bad news, since it's got some issues I've got to work out. But anyways, we're working on stuff. So oh, another good news, I found out I can edit videos on my phone. I never knew that, so that's why all of my videos, if you've noticed, I don't have any type of editing done. So that should help me give out some better videos here coming up. So anyways, just thought I'd give you guys an update, and that's where we're at, and we'll be working on more stuff. And I want to thank all the subscribers too. I'm always glad to see when I get on YouTube and I get notifications telling me I got a new subscriber. So right around 172, I think right now, 173. So cool. I appreciate it, guys, and thanks for watching.